Most guys think it's their charm, their sweet texts, or the way they show up with gifts that makes a woman fall in love with them, but that's not the truth. What really makes her fall is a man who walks into her life without trying to prove himself. A man who knows who he is without having to announce it every minute. A man who carries himself with quiet certainty instead of constant performance. She can feel it the moment you doubt yourself. She notices it when you wait for her reactions to feel good about yourself. When your sense of worth shifts depending on whether she seems interested or not. She can sense it in your eyes when you need her approval to feel validated. But something changes when a man shows up in her life already grounded in who he is, already clear on what he offers, already living a life that he is proud of, with or without her in it. It isn't arrogance and it isn't coldness. It's calm, steady energy that comes from knowing you don't need her affection to prove your worth, because your worth isn't up for debate. You are not trying to convince her to love you because you have already chosen to love yourself enough not to beg for scraps of attention, and that, without even trying, draws her in. It's like a breath of fresh air for her because most men she meets are still busy chasing her validation, losing themselves in the process. You're different because your presence says, "I like you, but I don't need you to like me back to feel whole." It is in this self-respect, this quiet confidence, that she starts to see you as a man worth imagining a future with. Because you are not seeking to be chosen. You have already chosen yourself. Imagine holding gold in your hands, feeling its weight and its rarity, and then imagine seeing that same gold scattered on every corner of every street, easily within reach at any time. Would it still feel valuable? That's exactly what happens when you give too much of yourself to a woman who hasn't earned it. You become too available, too accessible, and too eager to please, and in doing so, you strip yourself of the mystery and value that naturally draws her in. Most men don't understand this because they think constant availability is love, that the way to win her heart is by always being there, always texting, always responding instantly, always giving her attention, without boundaries. But the truth is, a woman doesn't value what is handed to her without effort, and she doesn't feel drawn to what feels like it will always be there, no matter how she shows up. When your presence is rare, when your time and attention are given intentionally instead of automatically, you change how she sees you. She begins to notice when you're gone, and she starts to miss your energy when it's not there. You stop texting every hour and instead focus on building your own life, working on your goals, your health, your purpose, and your vision, not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely living a life that requires your focus. You stop explaining yourself, you stop seeking her constant reassurance, and you allow her to feel the space that most men are too afraid to let her feel. In that space, curiosity and desire begin to grow. Your attention becomes something she values, not something she expects without effort. Your presence starts to feel expensive, and when your presence feels expensive, she will want it even more, and that is when she falls deeper. A woman falls for the man who can walk away from her when he needs to, even if he deeply cares about her, even if he loves her with everything in him. Most men don't have the strength, and that is why they remain easily replaceable in her mind. They tolerate disrespect, emotional games, and being taken for granted because they fear they won't find better, or because they have attached their entire sense of worth to the idea of keeping her in their life, no matter what it costs them. They stay after the lies. They stay after the cold silences. They stay after she tests them again and again, believing that enduring disrespect is what love demands. But a man who has done the inner work, who values himself, and who knows that peace is priceless, will not stay where chaos is the norm. He will not beg someone to treat him right, and he will not convince someone to see his value. Instead, he walks away, not to punish her, not to manipulate her, but to protect his own standards, boundaries, and mental clarity. In doing this, he shows her something most men cannot. He respects himself more than he craves her validation. And whether she says it out loud or not, she respects him for it. Walking away does not make him cold. It makes him clear. It shows that he is not afraid to lose what is not right for him, and that he will not settle for less than respect, loyalty, and kindness. When you have the courage to walk away from someone you love because they crossed your standards, you become unforgettable, because you show her that your love for yourself is stronger than your fear of being alone. And that is what leaves a mark in her mind long after you're gone. She begins to admire you in ways she can't even fully explain when she realizes that your emotions are not tied to hers. Most men's moods shift depending on how she acts, whether she's warm or cold, whether she's texting back quickly or taking her time, whether she's affectionate or distant. They let her energy control their own, and in doing so, they give away their power without even realizing it. But when you become a man who remains grounded no matter how she moves, you instantly separate yourself from every other man in her life. When she pulls back and you don't panic, when she goes silent and you don't chase, when she tests you and you don't crumble, it tells her you are different, that you are anchored in your own emotional world, not looking for her to save you from your own emptiness. This emotional independence is what makes a man rare, because it means you are not living for her validation, and you are not seeking to be rescued by her attention. You appreciate her presence, but you do not need it to feel whole. You can continue focusing on your goals, your growth, and your life without letting her actions dictate your worth or your emotional state. This steadiness creates trust because it shows her that you are not reactive and easily swayed by emotions, and it allows her to relax in your presence. You become the calm in the storm, the stability she didn't know she craved. She will start giving her affection freely when she realizes you are not demanding it, and she will respect you deeply because she knows you are not controlled by fear or scarcity. Instead, you are a man who is centered, clear, and quietly powerful. And this makes you unforgettable. If you truly want a woman to fall deeply in love with you, you need to let go of needing her to. Most men do not understand the freedom and power that come from letting go of the outcome, and that is why they remain stuck, overthinking every text, analyzing every word she says, and tying their sense of worth to her reactions. They create strategies around every interaction, trying to shape it into a moment that will make her fall in love, never realizing that this constant need for validation suffocates the connection before it can even begin. Letting go of the outcome does not mean you stop caring or that you become cold. It means you stop attaching your self-esteem to whether she stays or goes. It means you stop measuring your masculinity by her responses and stop living in fear of losing her. You begin to detach from the obsession, not from the emotion. And this detachment makes you unpredictable in the best way. It makes you free. You begin to show up as a man who is already full within himself, a man who does not need to chase, but chooses from a place of clarity and strength. When a woman realizes that she is not the center of your world, that you are, she sees you differently. She sees a man who is not begging to be chosen, not waiting to be saved, not needing to be constantly reassured. She feels the strength of a man who knows that love cannot be forced, who understands that begging or proving will never create the connection he wants. She feels the presence of a man who is living in his purpose, leading with peace, and who becomes so rare that she has to rise just to meet him. And it is in this energy that love finds her, deeply and unexpectedly.